Got big goals to change your world? Today we're looking at your goals inside out. Our special guest has a big goal he wants to achieve, and he's sharing it along with some of the insights and approaches about how he goes about it. You see those metrics from your efforts, financials, analytics, and social media. How do you equate attaining your goal in what seems to be a surreal and ever-changing world? Are you setting yourself up for success or failure? Listen in as we disseminate how effective use of content, brand, mission, and stewardship can move that goalpost, helping you to reach personal milestones and perhaps change the world. Get ready to level up your powder coater game.
Welcome to Roscoe's Powder Coater podcast. I'm your co-host, Kim Scott, where we interview influencers and talk about trending topics so you can grow your powder coating biz. Today's topic is sort of an elusive one for me. It's not, I stumbled upon an article the other day that kind of triggered a shout out to today's guest. And, he's got some pretty big goals. We'll kind of get into the background of how we know each other. And I guess the questions I want to ask today are, how do you know you're on the right track with your goals, with your business, with your metrics, whether they be social media or business, financial goals? How do you stay on the right track to reaching your goals? And what measurements do you use to know you're reaching milestones, or rather, not the specific reach or engagement or percentages that, say, the industry gives you, but maybe more of sort of your own personal satisfaction to know that you're achieving and staying on track? What's important to you, I guess, to achieving or reaching those milestones to achieve that big, big goal? And so today's guest has a very big goal in mind. And his name is Ian Calietto, and he owns Calietto and Sons. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim. And of course, Ross too. It's great to be here and sharing this with you and being a part of your audience. Hello, all powder coaters out there.
Right. And you don't powder coat, but you do shipbuilding and repair. So you're kind of more on the welding side, which is related to our industry, of course. And you have a pretty big goal. So today we're talking about content, which you're working on very hard right now. You're talking about brand, mission, and a mission could be your company mission, maybe your personal mission too. But you're also doing something else that is a little different than maybe typical businesses because you have this really big goal. And that is you're starting to get into stewardship. I call it that. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right word for it, but you're coming back into the community and you're working on how to kind of bridge or create network connections between the content, brand, and mission with stewardship and community efforts and to reach bigger goals. So let's get started talking about this. What is your big goal? And tell us a little bit more about what Calietto and Sons does.
Yeah, perfect. I'll just start with my whole 30-second elevator thing. So, hello, everyone. I'm Ian Calietto, president of CNS Services. We are a defense contractor performing ship repair and industrial trade support services. We specialize in welding, ship and pipe fitting, mechanical, surface blasting and painting trades. I'm also the Hawaii Defense Alliance co-chair for workforce development. At CNS, we play a vital role for the state. In the past 30 years, we've maintained maritime vessels. First have hot water and laundry service because of the steam systems we've installed in resorts. The government protects our nation aboard ships we've repaired. And we built a facility that recycles all of our discarded cars and appliances. Our capabilities are wide, our roster of talent is deep, and our commitment to serving our customers' requirements are second to none. But most importantly at CNS, we believe in a vision that will usher in Hawaii as the world leader in shipbuilding and repair, and hopefully can make Hawaii's new economic growth and diversity a reality once and for all. And, just thank you for having us, Kim, and being able to share what CNS is all about today.
Yeah, and that is this, a whole big goal of tying what you do to creating a whole new, bigger industry. I mean, you're talking about building ships here, right? Mm-hmm. Not just repairing them, building big ships to defend our nation. We are out here in the Pacific. To me, that's a huge goal. I mean, it is. And you're not alone in this goal. I know you're making connections and getting on, you're a member of several different kinds of entities out there that kind of from workforce stuff through to some other nonprofits and for-profits, committee member or your board member of, and to make it happen, right? So you're kind of in the trenches, and along the way, you realized, I guess in past conversations with you, you realized that part of the linchpin for this was building a workforce to handle this big goal. So you're kind of implementing sort of this creep along way to getting to this really big goal, because you can't just walk in and say, here I am, and I got this big goal, put some money behind me and I'll make it happen kind of thing.
The real vision, I think the essence of my vision, if we take it beyond the industry and shipyard, ship repair, is actually to create opportunities for local people that will allow them to thrive, not only survive, but thrive in Hawaii. The cost of living here is tough. Many of our people are leaving the state to live in the mainland, where it's cheaper and easier to survive and buy a home. So there's a lot of great leaders I've been networking with, politicians, nonprofits, other business leaders, and there's a really strong effort to bring real change to Hawaii. And one of the pieces of the puzzle is, of course, to make things more affordable. The way I attack the problem is, how's about we pay people more? We give people the means to afford what we're trying to make cheaper, because that's kind of a losing battle, I think, at this point, because everybody and anybody in the world wants to live here, and with that kind of demand, it's naturally going to drive up prices. So that's my grand vision, is to give local people a means to keep their families in Hawaii and afford to live here and thrive here.
Yeah, it's a sad reality. And I think there's a lot of cultural stuff happening on the mainland right now too, where not cultural, but also physical or in the news kind of stuff, where people are kind of migrating, to different states based on their, well, there's a lot going on in the world, let's just say that. And it is creating movement on the mainland as well. But I think that there's something special about Hawaii. We talked about this kind of briefly yesterday, and how important, and I am 100% believe in this too, because we have some pretty big goals here at Maui Powder Works, global goals, I guess, so to speak. And part of it is sharing that a way about Hawaii that is hard to kind of put your thumb on, or, people call it aloha, whatever, but it's much, much deeper than that. And part of it is just that we've lost the meaning of aloha, or what really Polynesian and Hawaiians know about the word ha, which is out of aloha, and what that really meant for them as a culture and society thriving here in the islands. And sort of kind of grabbing that and sharing it with the world, I think is important to me, and Ross as a business owners. And, I know that you believe in that as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think we maybe sometimes take it for granted, being in it every day, all day here. But you just have to, you don't really have to leave the state to see it. You can just look at the news and see what's going on. The world's on fire,
It is, yeah.
And for us, in Hawaii, it's not perfect either, but I think we figured out a lot of, that real deep human connection issues, and that's definitely something we need the whole, Hawaii can share with the world and make example for.
Yeah. And it wasn't easy, mid-century last, and then, or even from the 1800s with multicultures moving here for work, indentured servant labor, whatever, just to get a new start here. I mean, we've had it all here, really, sort of a mini version of America and its beginnings. But, I think that, it wasn't always perfect, and there were some pretty ugly stages to that growth. But I think today we're definitely the people that live here and know and understand what it's like to live here is definitely, we're still ready to maybe hopefully sharing it with the world. Just remind them what it can be like, is really kind of what it is that we're just trying to share. But we also have a little bit of a background. You and I know each other from the SBA has a program locally here called Emerging Leaders. And we were fortunate enough to be one of the few to attend this annual 6-month program. And you were my next door neighbor sitting next to me. Our teacher, Julie Purcell, wonderful woman, and just wisdom pouring out of her every time, twice a month, and really challenged us to dig deep with our businesses, with our personal understandings and our own values to kind of make ourselves better and grow. And of course, the number one statement that was made between, crafting an elevator pitch was, if your goals aren't big enough or don't scare you, they're not big enough, right? And I'd say building a whole new industry here or expanding on that industry that you're in is a pretty large goal. So I think that's it's easier said than done, right? So
definitely. I don't even know if it's possible yet, or how far I'll get, but you got to have something to aim for, right?
Right. And I think that's how adding that steward, you're starting to make those connections between your content, your brand mission, and this stewardship that you're doing to reach those goals, because you kind of see I'm kind of more of those abstract thinkers where I see it all in one, playing out in one menagerie in my brain. And a lot of linear people I talk to, they're just like their eyes are spinning in their head kind of thing, because it does take a visionary type person to kind of see that end goal and then work their way backwards to, putting all those implementary steps there to get to it. Yeah, the path. And that we all know that that's the hardest, right?
Yeah. I mean, what you're doing is you're looking at through a holistic lens, right? You're looking through everything at the same time, and how it's an organism. It's not it's not a machine, separate parts. So that's good that you have that kind of mindset, because that's kind of where things are moving these days, where things are, we're realizing, we're talking about leadership now. So everything you talked about, stewardship, holisticness, the organic nature of things, that's all leadership and leadership style. So what we see now in the marketplace is a shift towards, kind of more, holistic, organic, unsiloed, things aren't siloed, things aren't compartmentalized anymore. Things aren't pieces, of a machine. We're all kind of just more of an organism, and we're not so much like it's a systems view of things. It's not a pyramid. It's more like a solar system, so you have the sun in the middle, and you have planets surrounding, planets orbiting the sun, and then you have moons orbiting the planets. But if you look at it horizontally, if you look at a solar system from the side, everything's on the same level.
Right. Yeah.
If you look at it from on top, it's central and it spreads out. So that's kind of more of a systems view of how leadership is now, kind of where I'm going with my style, and my organization is more of a holistic approach, like you said. And then, having that vision, that grand vision, that big picture, and then working your way, reverse engineering it backwards down to, all the way down to the day-to-day and the steps, So what do you need to have your vision, and then your values are kind of like your milestones, your guideposts towards that vision. So what I like to share with what I've told my guys is this simple equation: vision plus values equals culture.
Mm-hmm.
And then taking that and I forget his name. From the book Good to Great. I forgot the author's name.
I haven't read that one.
Tim Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Collins. But he says that, culture eats strategy for breakfast, So that's the line, culture will trump strategy all day, every day in business.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's kind of the approach I'm taking. Vision and values is what our culture is. Then strategy comes from that.
Right. And it, you didn't start that way. You kind of, you did have an existing family business and stuff, but it wasn't, it wasn't handed to you on a silver platter where it was like, ready to take off. When I met you, it wasn't that way. It was, pretty much in pieces. And, you make it look easy today, but that's not the case. You were literally struggling with just even, were you going to stay open, or were you going to just fold it, And, everybody arrives in this class, at some level, right? We all know that there were different levels of us, and we were handpicked for a reason in this class to kind of see where people were in different stages of their business. Some were on the exit strategy kind of thing, like retirement and stuff, and how are they going to transition? And Others were kind of in more struggling to just find identity and stuff like that. So how did you make those first steps to building the brand? I mean, you and I have talked about, obviously just a rehash of your website was needed and stuff. I mean, that takes effort. And even through that, it kind of started and failed and then started again. So take us through some of those earlier first steps of how you built the brand and now you're providing content for it and how it all ties into your mission at Calieto.
Oh, okay. So I believe it starts from within, and it starts from the top actually down. I don't like to use this term too much, but stuff rolls downhill. So, it starts with the founder, the owner of the organization, person who came up with the crazy vision and the idea in the first place. That's where it starts. So you entrepreneurs and business owners, you always start, that's where it starts, right? And first things first is to really go inside of yourself and really pull out, your purpose and your why, and really find yourself. A lot of self-actualization, a lot of inner work. I like the holistic approach. So not just why you're doing your business, but you can even get existential and stuff and be like, why do I exist, right? So, just go as deep as you can, as comfortable as you want, or not, and that's where it starts. It starts from within, just like the solar system. It starts with the sun, right? It starts in the center. So you start from the inside, and then you kind of like ripples in a lake. It kind of just ripples out from there. So.
And how did you as you were doing this, were you, because we're going to get to the article that kind of we're basing this around, but how were you getting feedback? Were you talking to your wife about it? Were you talking to other business leaders about it? Were you talking to your employees? Who was giving you that feedback?
Well, I was fortunate to have an existing system in place, like how you said. I'm a second generation owner of this family business, so it was more of refining and keeping the things, really looking at what we already were, and then kind of refining and reevaluating all those things, and keeping things and getting rid of other things. Mm-hmm. So as far as feedback, after what your thing is, in your heart, in your what you think you're going to be doing with your idea, you go start, talk to your employees, talk to your friends, family, other business, peers, colleagues, and you already know what works, so it's more just really dialing in on what you're really good at and not getting distracted, I like the one thing theory where, put all your eggs in one basket and then protect that basket with your life, because, multitasking is a lie or whatever. You can't do more than one. You can do one thing excellent, or you can do multiple things mediocre. So, that's what I sold out on what we do best, and then,
you were unwavering about that too. You know what I mean? And I think that in talking to you on, visits that I made to Oahu and stuff, and checking in with you and stuff, you were unwavering in that, which then became your mission, right? It just, once that belief system was there, or that, value system was in place, or, maybe you kind of had to remold yourself a little bit. But once you did, then you knew, okay, this is what I want on my website. This is what I want to share on my social media. This is what I want my company to help in the community with, to kind of move that goal post, further down the line, but it's taken, it's taken a good 3 years to kind of make that digital brand start to reflect what was already, going on inside the company,
Yeah. We're still learning to this day. A lot of trial and error, but yeah, I don't want to downplay it as it's not easy. The word is simple. So once you define, you made that line in the sand. This is what my idea and my company is. This is what we stand for, and this is what we want to do with it. And then you draw that line in the sand, and it's like right, wrong, or indifferent. You're just gonna be unrelenting, and you're that's what it is. You're just gonna be like, this is who I am. This is what it is. We're gonna go for it. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes along the way, you're going to make a ton of mistakes, and then you're going to make a ton of pivots, and it's going to change on you, and it's going to grow on you, and hopefully it's always growth and not regression. Hopefully it's always 3 steps forward and just 1 step back. But that's all it is. You define your culture, and you pick a target, and you just go.
The article is by a writer by the name of Julian Shapiro. And I happened to just kind of stumble upon it. And it just seemed to be the theme of the week for me. So what the writer is just talking about is, what metrics matter, because every day, today in our society, we are literally like, there is becoming this digital layer between us, right? It's getting to the point where it's like, how can you even, Facebook and Instagram shut down for 8 hours last week, and, all hell broke loose, right? People couldn't make money. They couldn't sell products, they couldn't get likes. God forbid we don't get likes.
They couldn't show people their food.
Right. And, I found it very timely that this kind of came up, because the writer has a really good, and we'll make sure that we put this blog post in the description so that everybody can read it. I'm sharing it with all my friends because I think the writer has done a very good job of explaining what really matters when you're talking about vanity metrics. Everybody talks about that. There are important vanity metrics, and then there are the real vanity metrics, I guess, or the real, and which ones are you paying attention to? So for starters, they're just saying that, your personal vanity metrics would be, your education, or how many books you read, how many friends you have on Facebook, stuff like that. But, his point is to never obsess over the wrong metric. And I think that when you see stuff on Facebook all the time, and, a viral video or whatever, and then you never hear that same person posting anything else, it just went viral. That it doesn't necessarily make you a YouTube star just because you had a viral video or something like that, So, but I think down deeper here, he's broken it down into different kinds of content in terms of how a framework, he's calling it a framework of the different kinds of the goal path, the ability spectrum, and the virtue spectrum, and what those mean. And here he kind of talks about, when I started reading through this, the immediate thing that jumped out to me was I was thinking of the 10,000 hours kind of thing. And what is, to become an expert, you need 10,000 hours. But people say that, and, it was featured in the book by I think Charles Gladwell, called The Outliers, where he looks at like people like Bill Gates and other, the Virgin Atlantic guy and, Bezos or whatever, it's an older book now actually, but, the term kind of came out of this scientific paper on 10,000 hours to become an expert. And there's lots of other things that make these people who they are today. But for you and me and just all regular everyday people, what does it take? You know what I mean? And I mean, 10,000 hours is basically 430 something days of doing nothing but that 24 hours a day. And then you could break it down further. It's basically about 9 years if you spent three hours a day on it.
Right.
It's a long time, 10 years of your life.
Yeah, it's 5 years if you're full-time, 10 years if you're part-time.
Right. And, it kind of can be defined this way in order to achieve the goal, which helps kind of, I'm kind of a list person. So, I'll make myself a list. Of course, the list never ends. I'm always adding more to the list, which can be kind of, kind of a taskmaster kind of thing. You're never really free of the list, but I get stuff done, I feel like I'm getting closer to the larger, bigger goal that we're trying to do, which is to launch our patina powder coating around the world. It's a huge goal because the market that we're playing into is a $70 billion industry. How do we grab a piece of that? And you're more about building this multi-million-dollar industry here in our state. So different goals and different approaches to those goals. What do you say to that?
As far as how do you come up with a path to that goal, or
yeah, I mean, how are you?
How amount of time are we going to take to get there?
Yeah, right. I mean, or is it really more about the time it takes to get there, or is it more about just doing the tasks off the list? Or do you have what's your approach to that goal in the sense of you personally? Is it making more network connections that it is more your strength, or is it more just getting a task off the list kind of thing?
So, it's a big one. We would, so once you set your big goal, right? Now we're trying to reverse engineer it all the way back down to your daily task list.
Right.
So there's a lot of great operating systems out there for organizations, and I haven't used them all, but the one I've used for my company is the Entrepreneur's Operating System called EOS. So basically, you can distill the whole strategy on 2 pieces of paper, right? And it starts with that big goal. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring patina powder coat to the world in 10 years. And then from there, you kind of work backwards. You come up with your 5-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goal, and then 1-year plan. And then from your 1-year plan, you have 3-month plans, quarterly plans.
Mm-hmm.
Then you meet you have a regular meeting pulse, like, at least 2 to 4 times a month, once a week, making sure that you're hitting your quarterly goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're reevaluating every 3 months, and then you're doing a whole strategy overhaul once a year. So that's the EOS system in a nutshell. So
right. It's kind of what I think it's also part of, I think it was in the book Traction where they talk about right. like the big boulders and the pebbles and the medium-sized rocks and stuff like that, and how much you can fill it.
The name of the book is Traction. The name of the system is EOS.
Yeah. We've talked about it before. I think in one of the earlier episodes, I think it was episode 5 or 6, where we talk about getting what you're worth, right? And I think we talked about that book again there in that episode, if you want to refer to it. But yeah, that's where I have that book, and I don't necessarily follow it as linear as you do. But in the back of my head, maybe I am subconsciously. And so I'm constantly checking, right? Where I'm at, taking a gauge or a measurement there, and stuff.
That's fine, because you're a very tiny team, just you and Ross. So,
I never meet with him.
I know the thing I learned about EOS, is like, it's really like a team effort.
Yeah. So,
if your organization isn't really built that way, your business model isn't really built that way yet, it's okay to do what, and all my EOS facilitator friends are going to kill me now, because that's business for them that I'm taking away. But, for people, for small shops like you, it's fine just to pick and choose,
right.
Certain things, from the system, to do it all, you need you have to be at a level where you have like a team of managers, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's lots
or
of
at least a team of powder coaters, at least. You need a team. Bottom line, you need more than maybe at least 3 humans, 3 to 5, right. Maybe. Yeah.
Right. I think for him and I, we are married, so that just adds to the another component. But I think it's really, for me, I get a temperature reading from him on things, or where he's at in his thinking. Of course, he's handling all the day-to-day production and stuff like that. So like, if I'm doing most of the bidding and phone and desktop work. But usually I'll check in with him on something if I'm unsure about it or whatever. It's simple enough. Sometimes in the morning we talk about longer term goals, or some of those bigger rocks, boulders, whatever, it's kind of just more of a gauge or temperature reading kind of thing, metrics. But there, you can get, when you're talking about content, and we were talking about content too, because I think down here further, they talk about the 80-20 rule, which I've actually found a really good graphic, which I'd like to get back to on that, in terms of how to do it in your business, and stuff, and how you can use that 80-20 rule with customers. But they're saying, this one's about ability. Okay, you made 30 under 30, you've got an MBA, and you have 1 million followers on Instagram. What does that mean? Because really, all those can be faked and and are faked every day. And so, but what do they mean to the people that are following you, right? And stuff. I think down here, it really kind of brings down to the nitty gritty of, right here, about the different kinds of content that you put out there. And you said yesterday, like when you started doing this content with your social media and ramping up the website and Facebook and all of that, you know, like it's an unbelievable amount of content you have to create. Unbelievable. You're doing a lot of that right now. I have my own insights on it just because I have created an unbelievable amount of content, and where I am versus where you're at, kind of in the trenches right now, creating a lot of content just to gain attraction, right? And followers.
Right. Yeah, what I tell people is just, you know, once you figured out your culture, your strategy, you know, who you are holistically as an organization, just put it out there. You know, that's been the social media strategy so far, is just put yourself out there for the world to see, and take it as it comes, and, you know, make changes as you go or learn, you know.
Yeah.
Not gonna know unless you try, kind of thing. So that's what we've been doing, just putting this stuff out there.
Yeah. If anybody's interested, head on over to Instagram. It's Calieto and Sons, right?
Yes,
On the
spelled
Instagram.
out. So CALIEDOANDSONS.
Yeah, AND. Yeah, instead of like an ampersand. Okay. Yeah. He's got some pretty. I do love the cultural, you know, how you're bridging that cultural to work and Ohana and, you know, raising up your guys. Let me see if I can just bring a screenshot into your company so people can see. Yeah, so this is their website. Go and follow him. I just love, you know, they're doing a lot of, you can see the Hokulea and their stewardship stuff that they're doing, and everything. And I love the images too. Yeah, thanks. I love the images you're doing. This guy, whoever does your, takes your pictures and stuff, really gets up close to the sweaty guys on the boat.
Yeah. He makes it look good.
He does. Yeah.
It's not that glamorous. I've been telling people it's not as glamorous as these pictures make it look.
Yeah, you better be careful. It might come.
Yeah.
No, but you know, you can see that's a tight spot and he's having to get in there, and you know, you're raising up your employees. I love this. This is community as it speaks, and the brand there with the pictures of the you know, your hats and t-shirts and your workers wearing it and stuff. And
a little bit of clout chasing there with pictures of politicians and stuff like that.
Yeah. He's funny.
/ entertainer.
Yeah. I think that's good use of influencer marketing, you know. But anyways, yeah, go check them out. I know you have Facebook and stuff too. The website is calietoandsons.com and stuff. But so, you know, what's nice about that Instagram is, you know, you are kind of doing these three things, right? With this, as you're following this content marketing and stuff like that. And that's the virtue of how, you know, working on the Hokulea has, you know, using your skill level or your ability as an influencer to make a difference in your community directly, which is kind of the bottom line with this blog post, was don't just sit there and say something about it. Like, hey, everybody should go down to the Hokulea and work on it this weekend at 6:00. You know, like, no,
they love that. They love that.
We are gonna be there. Are you there? Or are you square? Kind of thing. this is how we've changed our community. How are you? And that's what really, I think that that's really what influencer marketing is that I think that's been elusive, and this guy really captures it too. I mean, it's more about goal setting and goal checking, but when you see, like, I don't know, don't want to mention Kardashian. I'll say like Richard Branson, right? I mean, he's so much larger than life. When you see him, going on his plane up on the stratosphere or whatever, when he says something, it's more about that than it is about that he owns a plane or that he can get that high in the sky or, whatever. It's more about the virtue of and what it means and what's the outcome of helping his employees or whatever. And I know you can kind of bash pretty much any influencer and stuff, but I think that that's usually what makes people listen to that person as an influencer, is because they're bringing in this authenticity about themselves, which you said at the very beginning was knowing yourself and starting with you first. I think that we kind of we're proving that, from the very first podcast we ever did was we're just sharing our journey, right? We're in the middle of nowhere. We're thousands of miles from lots of other coders on the mainland. And so we really don't know the way, or we just know our way, but we're checking with you to see, hey, is this something in common,
That's great, man. Like I really, look up to you and Ross for, taking powder coating to the world. That's so admirable. That's what I try to do too, is like just sell out on what I do well, and just, this is what we do. We're really great at this and we want to share it and we want to meet other like minds and we want to network and, just add to the community, just this very, holistic approach to things and connectivity to other powder coaters, and what makes it even more fulfilling is like, you're not only connecting on the technical and what you guys love to do, but you guys are really connecting on a human level, that this goes back to the aloha stuff we're talking about. We're connecting on a human level, passions, I have a passion for this, you have a passion for this, and it happens to be this thing called powder coating, but underneath this, like what we're realizing is, hey, we have a lot in common.
Yes.
Despite our convictions or the color of our skin or, our political affiliations or whatever, we both feel, and I can feel you and I can see you, so that's
awesome. That's what's been shocking to me about the whole thing. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to voice something out there. I don't know. We were in the middle of a lockdown. What was I going to do? Right. We didn't have any content to share because technically our business was shut down. I mean, it had a lot to do with other things going on in our life too. But, I thought, well, shucks, I better do something. Right. And that's really what has been discovered for me. Of course, now, I think part of that is it is a labor of love that we're doing here at the podcast, because it does take a few hours to put a podcast together and stuff, and to be regular enough to post weekly or, as much as I can, bringing on guests and stuff. There's a lot of components to it, but I think that that's really where I've worked around and just figured that out, that we're more alike than different. And there is this cold side to digital marketing and digital, just being on our phones 24/7 and online all the time and stuff. Is it does create this barrier for us all, and I think it distorts reality versus authenticity. And, so maybe the podcast helps. And I bet you that's why podcasting has helped grow so quickly too, is it's still that human connection with a voice or a person's face or whatever, because you don't know when you see a post if it's real or not, I had another thought in there too, but any comments on that last part?
I think we got it all, man. I think we hit our goal for today and getting to the meat of it, and why we do what we do.
Yeah, evaluating too, just that it kind of adds to it when I'm driving home at night, I'm like, is it really just about the list, or am I really just moving that goalpost to with, my way of doing things? It's I feel accomplished, and I think that reflection is just as important in a metric than knowing how many people liked your post or how many followers you got over last month or over the last post or whatever. I mean, I'm shocked sometimes. I'm like, wow, I got picked up like all these followers. So, like I'm not trying for that anymore. I already met that goal. So like to have a business that has over 1,000 followers for me, and just any small business is a big goal. And not an easily achieved one. So everybody that is close to that or whatever, and that really, I set a goal, and then once I get past it, I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that now. I don't need to have that hanging over my head anymore, right? And I can reflect and move on to the next step in the process. I think I shot two the other day when I realized, that you're not just connecting with the people that you're trying to hire or your employees or the people that are following you locally. Because of your goal being so big, you're going to find that you're going to reach out to a much, much broader audience. You haven't seen it, may not have seen it yet, just because you want to focus on your local, but eventually you'll get to that point where people will start reaching out to you, calling you. That's when you're really an influencer. And who knows, maybe this will find its way somewhere. And but sharing your story is important. And you kind of had shared something yesterday, just a simple thing that somebody surprising called you out of the blue, and you're like, wow, how did you even know about me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's when you're being an influencer, or you're changing things for the better, or that is a metric that you should pay attention to.
Right. There's, and that's the beauty of, social media. As much as I've hated it and a lot of people hate it, that's the beauty of it too. It really democratizes. And if you really, really have something to share, and you really are convicted about, you're passionate about what your mission in life is, it's easy to put it out there now, for not much money, and that's for more as a business owner.
Well, thank you, Ian, for joining me today. I appreciate your help, and thanks for sharing your insights on goal setting and measuring your goals. It's been a pleasure having you. Of course, it's always easy and great to talk to you, because I value your insights too. So it's always, I'm happy that you're able to share your insights with our audience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kim and Ross, for allowing me to speak to you guys and your audience. It's always great to share. That's like how I said, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'll tell a stranger my whole life story if they let me. I love it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Aloha.